Could you be so heartless?
All right, well, brothers and sisters, this is the brother of our teacher, the illustrious local Reverend Dr. Malachi York. He is here. His phone is ringing now. I know Omar. I see what you got to do. You got to catch that call. Omar is busy. I called him one day. He gave him 30 seconds. That was it. He was done. He was like, okay, brother, I'll talk to you later. I was like, he is. All right, here he comes now, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome Brother Omar. Peace and love, fam. That was one of another member calling on the phone, Brother Polite up in New York, calling to say, did I get here yet? So, I've been traveling, it seems like I've been driving since about 8 o'clock this morning. I stopped in Athens and then I'm back to Atlanta and then I'll fly back to New York. But I really wanted to come down and see you guys. So I've been driving at about 90 miles an hour, taking naps in between, but I'm here. And it's good to see some of the, I call them the old timers. Y'all young, so I don't know what y'all call old timers. But I see some of them here, and it's good to see the brothers. And, trying to, where's that brother to fix the mics? Yeah, maybe we can set up. Assalamu alaikum. Greetings. I'm really glad to see this. I get about 2 letters a week from Doc. And he's constantly writing me, The warden is writing me. And sometimes they're very strict. If I happen to leave what I call my slave name off of a letter, they send it back. They insist on seeing that. So Doc said, he sent me a letter saying, don't leave your slave name off. I don't like to use our slave name. However, for Doc, I just about do anything. I do some of his time. I'm not going to lie and tell you I do the whole thing that they're saying he's going to do, but I'm telling you I do a large chunk of it just to be able to sit there with him. And the new institution they got him in, I don't know if any of you brothers and sisters have done the research on Florence. Have you done that? Yeah. Their intention is mind control. It's obvious that I can't even imagine one of them trying to control Doc's mind. I can't even imagine it. I mean, I've sat there and we play like mental tag all day long. We play mental tag and he's so smooth and so clever. And we've been doing this since kids, okay? At first we used to play physical tag, where how the big brother try to control the little brother because he's my little big brother. Let me tell you where he's my little big brother. And he puts that at the end of every letter to a little big brother. So playing mental tag with Doc is so interesting. It's a game that I don't even know how to explain to you. When you're playing tag, telling stories about things when we were coming up as kids in the project. And I went to this website called something Expedia, not Expedia, something encyclopedia with a bunch of stories about Doc. If anybody, what's it called? Wikipedia. Yeah, and so much of it, I hope y'all don't believe it, so much of it is bullcrap. They gave the range of his age, almost a 10-year gap in his age. And when I read the stories of where he's from and this, 95% of that is a lie, okay? I'm telling you, because I was there when Esau came out of the womb, watching. I was trying to figure out what was going on while they wouldn't let me in the room. I couldn't go in the room and the doctors were telling me tales and this and that, and I'm not even sure if it's a tale, because I couldn't go in the room. But I remember them telling me, when I heard him crying, I remember them telling me that a bird brought him. I'll never forget that story. Because the doctor said, yeah, a bird brought me, left him on the roof. And our house had a slope like this. So I was having a problem with that. And the family was all excited about a bird. I was trying to figure out how did that bird know which building to come to drop off this this angel, bird, person, I don't know what, but it drove me crazy for a long time. But for those of y'all who have not sat down and tried to play mental tag with Doc, I think the relationship is he basically, you see him as a teacher and a father and, of course, a leader. So when I think of this system trying to do mind control, they said that's what the prison is about. They want to examine the minds. They don't have the capacity to get into Doc's head. They can't get in. They can't get in. I know that for a fact. I looked at a crime, they said, where this guy had killed 12, 13 people of his victims. One just, some millionaire just got arrested for keeping prisoners in the basement. And these guys are getting like little teeny years. With Doc, they're saying that he's guilty. Of course, what he's guilty of, they don't even have him charged with. And that is waking up the people. That charge isn't on his place anyway. And what they have him guilty of is, it's ridiculous, right? If I want to try to make you understand what the land was, for those of us who have been through all of the different schools that Doc have walked through, and Doc, at one time, he was just a Hebrew. You got to understand that. He was just a Hebrew. And then he began to, well, let me go back one step. Well, I can take it back to when he was born, but let's go back another step. Before he was a Hebrew, Doc was a gang leader. He was a leader of a gang. And he took it from another level and went into the Hebrew because of the history and the research that the Hebrews were doing. He also was an instructor of an organization called the 5%. He was not a member. He was instructing the 5%. A lot of people say he was a member of the Nation of Islam. He never joined the Nation of Islam. He had big respect for Elijah Muhammad, but he never joined the Nation of Islam. By the time Doc came into that age where you just break off from the family and join, Doc had already been a Muslim. He had already been a Muslim, and I think that the nation at one time, let me just say something so we don't misunderstand. Elijah Muhammad is my favorite person in the nation. That's who I love. And I've been with Minister Louis Farrakhan plenty of times in his home. As a matter of fact, all 3 of his homes. I've been into one at Chicago, the Palace, and I've been into one at the farm. They got a farm out here near, they flew me out to Detroit and we went out to the land. They got a big land, something like we had in Athens. He has the same thing. And he has another place in Phoenix. And I've been to the minister's house. And so I have big respect, and I know Esau had respect for the nation. But what Esau wanted to do that wasn't being done, forgive me for stepping past on the story, what he wanted to do is he wanted to bridge a place. We used to have many tags. I call them tags because that's the way, you know, when you're a kid, you get ready to leave, you punch somebody and say, gotcha, and you run out the door. He used to always do that, you know, gotcha. And one of his tags was, he was going to have a place only for people who were studying a certain, if I use the wrong word, you got to understand. Doc might call it one thing, I might call it another. Philosophy is what I like to say, because it means philo means love and osophy, study, the love of studying. Him and I would always battle with that word. However, he wanted to create a place where all of the different people could come together. And on the land, as you'll know, near the end of the land, he started building a place called the Mahdi Shrine. And for those brothers who are in the old school, they understand that Ansar was one of the schools he took the members through. He is guilty of that. He's not guilty of the other crap that they're talking about, but he's guilty of that. He's innocent of what they got him for. He's guilty of what they did not get him for, and that is building a land where all of the different philosophies or understandings could come together and negotiate. And he was successful in doing that. He began to put in, for those of you who don't know, up in the mountains in Jezabah, he was putting in a place where the people who had an Israelite concept could come together, along with the Islamic. He then took it down to Atlanta, because honestly, down here in the South, we can live a lot better than we live up in the North. It's just ridiculous. We used to crack jokes about how many more pair of long johns you'd have to have if we stayed up in this here in New York.